All right. So we are now recording. So just as a reminder, we're asking that your microphones are off. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and put them in the chat, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So let me share my screen. Or actually, maybe we'll introduce ourselves where we can see each other and wave real quick for who is on this call. So my name is Amy Kaler. If I have not met you, I am the principal or coordinator for Star Academy. And then with me today, I kind of will go in order from what I'm seeing. Jackie, you want to introduce who you are?
Sure, I am Miss Scholl. I'm a fourth grade teacher. Nice to see everyone today.
Then TJ.
Hi, I'm Mr. Fassler. I'm also a fourth grade teacher.
Anthony.
Hi, I'm Mr. Labella. I'll be joining the fourth grade team. I worked at base and in the classrooms. I'm returning to Star Academy now.
And then we have Francesca. You want to say your title?
Hi, I'm Francesca Donato. I'm the educational specialist at Star Academy.
And then Mrs. Ahmad is in here. You just can't see her picture at the moment, but she is also joining us. So
I'm here.
there you go. So we'll go ahead and get started with our presentation. And this is a follow-up to the presentation I gave with Dr. Wood a couple weeks ago now about hybrids. So this is going to give you more specific information for fourth grade. So let me go ahead, share my screen. All right. Minimize this. All right.
You're on the third grade
Third
one,
grade
Amy.
one. I gotta go out one. Let's go back. Hold on. No. Let's try this again. I have too many open. They're later today. So present, share my screen. Now where did my stuff go? Hold on. So here we go. So fourth grade. So just kind of an overview once again for this first part, and then I will turn it over to the fourth grade team for you. So welcome and thank you for joining us about fourth grade and our transition to hybrid. Let me move this out of the way. It seems to right where the words are. So from the beginning and from our meeting last time, we continue to talk about as we plan for transitioning to hybrid, we are keeping in mind that safety is a priority. We want to keep consistency as much as possible for all of our students and stability in our plan that we make. So on November 2nd to 6th is when we had all families sign up for which track they would like to do, or if they wanted to stay on extended distance learning. Then November 14th through December 4th, we were building classes and we're still making a few adjustments. And then this week we will be confirming on Friday your assignment, your child's assignment for second semester, which will start January 4th. And then our transition to hybrid, preparing for hybrid, we will go ahead and make that transition to semester 2 teachers, but the date for actually switching to hybrid is now on a rolling timeline due to the health orders in the county. So as soon as we can move into the red tier, which is the one step below the purple tier that we're in right now, within 2 weeks, we plan to open and transition into hybrid. And this is, once again, all tentative. Oops. All right, and then this is just a review once again, keeping in consideration that we want to keep everything consistent for the students. So in person, if they're on A track, so this is for hybrid students, the teachers will be teaching the lessons, students are in the classroom. If they are on B track, they would follow that same thing when they're in person. If the hybrid students are at home, they will be working with that extended distance learning teacher and the extended distance learning facilitator through Zoom. And the teachers will go into a little bit more explanation about that. And then our extended distance learning group of students will follow a format that's very similar to what we're doing right now. Once again, this is just kind of an overview of what we've already shared in the previous meeting. Our daily schedules are going to stay identical to what they are right now that we have already implemented maybe a month or two ago. I guess it was right after fall break. So that will continue to be the same.
Mrs. Kaler, we have a question about if it will be announced what track and days are on campus also on Friday when you push out the class assignments.
Yes, it will say which teacher and it will say what track you are on, or if you're in extended distance learning. That way you can confirm that everything matches. All right. And that will also say, so if you're on A track, it will say that you will attend on campus on Monday, Tuesday, and then you would be virtual Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then if you're B track, you would attend in person on Thursday, Friday, and be virtual Monday through Wednesday. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the fourth grade team. So fourth grade, just let me know when you want me to switch slides.
I am trying to find my unmute button, but I'm going to use the space bar in the meantime. Welcome, everybody. I'm Jacky Hull. I'm a fourth grade team member, which starting January, we will have Mr. Labella and Mr. Fassler, as well as our distance learning facilitator, Mrs. Richardson. So as a hybrid teacher starting January, I can speak a little bit about what in-person hybrid is going to look like. It will be, our schedule will be very similar to what we will be doing now, except for our students will be on campus. Starting at 8:10, we'll have a soft start where students can walk directly to the classroom. This is a little different than how we had school in the beginning of school last year, but they'll come right in, get ready for the day, maybe read a quiet book if they're here really early, set up for the day, putting their materials away. Some materials that they can bring to school are their binders, their specials folders, lunch, and a water bottle. It'll be really important that we think like individual when we think about materials. I think about the water bottle. We usually have the water fountains in the classroom, but we won't be able to use those. So when you're thinking about what to send to school with your student, think they have to carry it, and think individual, so individual materials. We will follow the schedule that you can see on the right here, starting with morning meeting, just like we do now, and then writing. We'll have specials throughout the week, then math workshop. We'll have a break just like we do. We're really trying to keep as much as we can consistent and similar to what has been going on virtually, so that way students already know the routine. The only thing that's really changing is that they'll be here, which will be awesome. Pickup will be at 1 o'clock, just like last year in the pickup line. We'll have designated spaces. That way everyone is safe and socially distant. And then starting at 1:30, this will be what might be a little bit different for our hybrid learners. They'll have their independent enrichment time, just like they do now. And then they might have a small group with the distance learning facilitator. So just like now, keep an eye on that small group slide on our daily slides, but it should be really consistent compared to what we're doing right now. So I see in the chat too, Lindsay, the lunches will be at the outside tables unless the weather is raining or too hot or just an inclement kind of situation. And then they will be in the classrooms, but we're gonna try to get them outside. So this is kind of saying what I said before, is that our days are going to look very similar. One thing that we really want to maintain is that connection and community. So in the morning, whether or not you're on campus or at home, you'll join our morning meeting, say hi to each other. It'll be like a virtual greeting on the TV, waving to each other. And then at 8:45, we'll kind of break up into our learning groups, where our hybrid learners who are at home will go ahead and log into Mr. Fassler, who will be the distance learning teacher. And then the kiddos who are in person will get started in our day. That will continue throughout the day. So if the student is an in-person student and they're on campus, they'll be working with the hybrid teacher in the classroom. If the student is a at-home learner, but a hybrid student, they will be checking in with Mr. Fassler for the little bit of instruction, and then breaking out into breakout rooms with the distance learning facilitator to make sure that if they have any questions or need help, that there's someone there to help them along. That will go until 1 o'clock, and then it will be our pickup time, or if they are a hybrid learner but they are at home, they will have a break until 1:30, just like we do now. And then 1:30 to 3 will be that independent work time, small group check-in with the hybrid teacher, so that way they can have that connection.
Ms. Scholl, I'm noticing a question in the chat about, will the specials be in the homeroom class?
So for hybrid learners, the specials will be in the classroom, and then if they're at home, they'll have an independent assignment to do during that time. Hopefully that makes sense.
And just to jump in, if they are a extended distance learning student, so they're completely all virtual, they will have their own time with their class of students that are all extended distance learning. It's kind of complicated. Oops, now I messed myself up again. There you go.
Hello. Yeah, extended distant learning, at least very much in the beginning, will be pretty similar. Kind of what was said. I'd say, if anything, the thing that's really exciting to look forward to is when we come back, trying to utilize that a distant facilitator as much as we can, to maximize when we're not in hybrid yet. But when we are in hybrid, it should look very, very similar. I think there's kind of an exciting input where we do get to kind of interact with students from all of the classes for part of that instructional piece. And I look forward to facilitating that kind of conversation early on. But as do day to day. I mean, if you look, it's very similar to what it has been. I think it's the mentality, I think, that definitely needs to be communicated, though, is regardless of if they're hybrid or extended distance, that 1 to 2:30 or 1:30 to 3 time really might be utilized for whatever is going to be best for either the grade level or the individual student, whether it be skills work, finishing assignments, individual practice, whatever it might be, small group instruction. And so just realizing that that's actually part of the overall school day.
Definitely. Amy, I'm not sure if I'm the only one who's not seeing your screen anymore.
Oh, you're not seeing it? It's up.
It could just be me.
I'm cheating. I'm using dual screen, so I just.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
Still showing for me right now.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't touch it.
So the next slide that we see is like the social emotional support for our students. So we will continue with Kind Kids with Miss Hines every week. That's been an awesome addition to our year this year. All of our students have really looked forward to seeing her every week. We'll have morning meeting, like I said. We'll have our monthly parent meetings, which have been really awesome. You guys have done an amazing job being positive, but also giving us great feedback. A lot of what we've built this year is due to those meetings. So thank you, and keep giving your feedback. We don't see what's happening at home. So if you are noticing something, let us know, because we would be happy to, wrap our brains around it and see how we can solve problems and challenges that happen this year. Another thing that we'll be doing is small groups. We've done a lot of questioning about small groups to see if they're effective, and overwhelmingly the students really love having small group instruction. Getting to be in that smaller group setting, I think, makes them feel more connected and seen in the day, especially in this virtual world. So we will be trying to continue with that as much as possible. As well, we're looking at getting a parent volunteer situation happening. I know the Novus have been working on this. We've been kind of talking about this a lot, but what we really want is for a parent contact for each grade level. So that way, if families are noticing that their students need friend time, whether it be virtually or socially distant at a park or something, that they have someone that they can reach out to. Like Mr. Fassler said, our 1:30 to 3 o'clock time will be really utilized for additional instruction or enrichment activities. So if your child is needing that social interaction, we could really use your help as a parent volunteer to kind of coordinate those kind of opportunities. That's kind of a work in progress though, so feel free to give us feedback and help us design what that could look like. I think I can't see, so I'm not sure if we went to the next slide, but
Now
I
we're on the
we
next
did.
slide. I
I
turned
see
the
a
slide.
question in the chat about specials instruction. They will be in our home classroom. So they'll be Senora Quant and Miss Hines and Miss Shane will be visiting each classroom. Unless they're at home during hybrid, and then the at-home hybrid students will be working on an independent activity off of Zoom. So the next slide is all about safety. As a mom myself, safety is my number one priority. I always tell my students, like, my first job is to keep you safe. So as we said, they'll be coming, like during drop off, they'll be coming into the classroom directly, so they won't have that massive morning walking time, which we all love, but is not necessarily as safe right now with COVID. So they'll be coming in, they're gonna have designated desks and spaces to put their things. I know we have kind of storage materials so that way they can keep everything in a confined space. It will be very clear whose is who, so that way nothing gets mixed up or shared in that way. If for whatever reason something is shared, like library books, we have a system set up where those will be quarantined in a bucket and sanitized, or at least kept away for a certain amount of time, so that before they enter the circulation again, so that way they're nice and safe. I know I've seen so many students with face coverings doing such a good job. I'm not concerned about our students. We also have face masks for them once we're able to come back on campus. So everyone will have a mask, and I'm so impressed with what I've seen so far, at least at SCAPE, with students wearing their masks and being respectful of each other. So we'll work on that, especially in morning meeting and talking about why it's important and really helping them understand, if they don't already, the need for personal safety and masks and washing hands, etc. I'm looking through. So recess is going to be a little bit different than what we're used to. We'll have classroom specific recess, probably with stations set up outside, if I remember correctly, Miss Kaler. So for example, if it was 4th grade recess time, maybe one day Mr. Fassler would have the grass area, my class would have the blacktop area, and Mr. Labella's class might have the play structure, for example. Again, we will have those routines of hand washing when we come into the classroom, before eating. That will be built into our day. So we're making sure that they are safe, but also having fun and being a kid and getting to play and get their wiggles out. It looks like screening procedures is next. Okay, so for screening, all families are asked to screen at home. So before you send your kid out to school, take their temperature. If they're sick, when in doubt, sit it out. It's best for all of us if we just stay home. The good thing about what we're doing this year and being virtual and in this hybrid setting is that if they do need to sit it out and be at home, we have everything built for the day that they can access on their daily slides. It should be pretty seamless. They might not get to see their friends, but they'll still have access to all the curriculum, all the instruction, and they'll be able to stay present in their learning, even if they have to stay at home. I think we covered everything else on this slide. Does anybody, Mr. Fassler or Mrs. Kaler, Ms. Donato, have anything else to mention about safety at our campus?
I don't think so. I think we covered.
I see in the chat a question about fever testing. I know that we won't be administering temperature checks every day to all the students as they come in, but if we do notice someone not feeling well, we have Miss Maribel in the health office that we can send them to, where she has all capabilities to check temperatures and send kiddos home if they do have a fever or present COVID symptoms. So we definitely have a plan in place to keep everyone as safe as possible.
And that is all pending. Currently, that follows what the health department has told us to do. So this could potentially change before we switch to hybrid. If it does change, we will inform all families of what the new procedures are.
Mrs. Kaler, in the chat we have, what is the process for students to return to school if they are kept home due to illness?
It's going to depend on what the illness is. So you'll have to contact the office. If it is COVID, we'll have to see, you contact the office and the office will tell you what you need to do, because they just changed it again. For exposures, it's now 6 to 10 days versus 14 days quarantine. And then if there is a positive result, it tells you so many days and what you have to do, but it really depends on what it is. If you have like the flu, just the regular flu, we have procedures for that, but Cindy, Mary, and Maribel can tell you exactly depending on what it is. But it's going to be specific to what the illness is. So if they have a fever, but not COVID, but just a fever, I believe a fever, they have to not have it for 48 hours or 72 hours, one or the other. I don't want to give you a time and then it's the wrong thing. But the front office will be able to assist you with that if you call them. And they have the most up-to-date for anything health concerns that might be there.
And then we have a question, will students need to get the COVID test done prior to returning?
No, so they don't have to get retested before coming back as of right now. That's my.
And then I believe that's our last slide, unless Mr. Fassler or Mr. Labella or Miss Ahmad has anything to add. Then we can open it up to questions.
Nope.
So I stopped sharing, so let's open it up to questions if anybody has a question.
Can you just review again if our child is on hybrid and they have a teacher, they're in person with on Monday and Tuesday, will they see that teacher at all on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or they'll only be checking in with Mr. Fassler? Sorry, I'm still a little confused on that piece of things.
So the plan is that that small group time during 1:30 to 3, they will have the priority in terms of, we will be scheduling small groups with them in mind. We'll have office hours just like we do. I don't know, we haven't made a final plan if all students will have to check in for office hours or if it will just be an option for them, depending on the need. And as we get into it, if we need to adjust things, we have that time, but they will definitely, it will be like the kiddos who are at school that day will go home and they'll be mostly independent and working with the distance learning facilitator if they have a small group. Whereas the kiddos who are at home but hybrid will have more access to the homeroom teacher in the afternoon time.
Miss Cheryl, I think the question was, I had this question too. She was saying, like, say for instance, we're hybrid, right? And we have A and B and our child is on A, right? So for Thursday, Friday, will they have you or will they have Mr. Fassler?
So they would have me as their homeroom teacher.
So they will have you. Okay.
Yeah. During the day,
even when they're home.
Yeah, during the day, they'll be checking in with Mr. Fassler for that instructional time. But after school time at 1 o'clock, they would have access to me.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I thought you said they'll have you. So no, they won't have you on Thursday, Friday.
So let's say, like, for example, if Milo was a hybrid kiddo that came to school on Monday and Tuesday, he would have me all day for instruction time, for small group time. He would go home, and then at 1:30, he might have a small group with the distance learning facilitator. He might have office hours. He might have enrichment activities. Then on Thursday and Friday, he would be logging in for morning meeting with me as his teacher until 8:45, and then he'll be checking in with Mr. Fassler for that instructional time, but mostly working independently. Then 1 o'clock happens, just like now. We end our instructional day, and then at 1:30, he might have a small group with me, his homeroom teacher, to do that in intervention instruction, or like Mr. Fassler said, just based on what they need. That's kind of how we're going to plan that time. It's all very confusing, I know. Hopefully that
No, we got, that was better. That was better. I'm sorry. So I think that was answer too.
yeah.
There is also the distance learning facilitator who will also be supporting during that time that they have access to.
So I see in the chat the roles of each teacher. So Ms. Scholl, I will be hybrid. Mr. Labella will also be a hybrid teacher. Mr. Fassler will be the extended distance learning teacher. And then Mrs. Richardson is our distance learning facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
So Ms. Scholl, if you have a student who's signed up for extended distance learning and they are not going to come on site at all, who are they going to primarily be working with?
Mr. Fassler and then Mrs. Richardson. And that's the big shift that's happening in January, is that, for example, the students who are in my class right now who have chosen extended distance learning will be in Mr. Fassler's class and working primarily with Mr. Fassler and Mrs. Richardson for their instruction. But like we say, we're all their teachers. So if you need anything, or if they want to talk to us, like, we are here for them. Tell them they can email us or reach out. I always let my students know, once I'm your teacher, I'm always your teacher.
Other questions?
One of the questions in the chat was, if a COVID test has never been done, do they have to have one before coming to school?
No, they do not. We just ask that you follow the procedures at home, where taking their temperature, if they have any symptoms, they stay at home. And then if there is an exposure, we would recommend reaching out to your pediatrician to get direction from them for how they would like you to process or move forward. Other questions? Yes, so I see a question in the chat about, will skate signups start once we get closer to school opening up? Yes, they will. Mr. Ben knows exactly what the plan is. I think they're going to reach out just to get an idea, but since our transition to hybrid at this point is looking like it's going to be pushed back somewhat, I believe they're going to hold off until the beginning of January and then reach out to families, because we know stuff keeps switching. So if we do it too soon, we know that it's basically going to be invalid information and have to start it again. But we will definitely have it be before we make any transition to hybrid, so those signups can come. Other questions? Nope. 5 minutes. All right. If there are no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. Please know that you can reach out to any of us on this call. You can reach out also the front office. We know there's a lot of information. We will share this recording, the presentation with you, and then you will be receiving your class assignments on Friday. I will likely put all of this in that class assignment email, because I feel like there's a lot of emails going out right now, and trying to put everything in one location I think will be helpful. So be looking for that there. And then at any time, feel free to reach out, and then I'm going to stop recording. And thank you for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate it.